Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Whatever industry you work in, or wherever in the world that you're listening to this podcast, I want to start by asking you all a question. And that is, how do you let your customers or your employees know how much you care about them? And the reason I say that is we've all seen those copy-paste emails with our names added on at the top in a completely different font to the rest of the email. Or worse still, they forget to put your name in and you just see insert name at the top. One of the bugbears of mine, that is, especially when I get a lot of pictures for guests to come on this podcast and you get the generic template with your name just pasted in at the top. And equally for businesses, when they receive an email from their CEO, for the most part, they probably suspect it was just something written by their PA that was approved by the CEO. And also, emails lack intonation. You don't know how somebody's feeling when they write that email. But hey, that's just the way it is, right? But I recently came across a company called Bonjoro, and they're using technology to help businesses stop spamming with impersonal and generic messages and replace it with something meaningful instead, all via highly personal video messages that are then used to build trust and convert customers for life. So Matt Barnett, aka Papa Bear at Bonjoro, more on that later, but he's going to join us today to share his story, which began just down the road, 20 minutes from me here in the Midlands. But he's now in Australia, where he's gone on to grow teams in 6 countries over 3 years to serve an audience that was 90% non-Australian. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Australia so we can speak with Matt from Bonjoro right now. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
My name is Matt Barnett. I'm the Papa Bear of Bonjoro. We were just saying from the UK originally. Now we are headquartered out of Australia in Sydney. In terms of what Bonjoro does, we're a personalised video messaging service. So when you get new leads or inquiries come in, rather than sending generic emails, we give you a little notification and we say, look, send Sandra from Ogilvy a video instead. We found that bit of personalised connection, especially at certain points in the funnel, is amazing in terms of delighting customers and converting.
I think it's a great idea because I think when we're all bouncing emails around to each other, there's no intonation in there. You don't know if it's just a copy-paste job that someone's just put in there and put your name at the top in a completely different font, which kind of ruins the whole experience as well. So a personalised video to welcome or onboard new customers and clients is a fantastic idea. But can you tell me a little bit more about how you're using technology to solve problems for businesses?
Yeah, so in terms of Bonjoro and how Bonjoro does it, or how we do it as a company?
As Bonjoro does it.
Yeah, so essentially, where this is being used, the way we work is that we play with other CRMs. So if you're using a Salesforce or a MailChimp or an Intercom or you name it, we basically sit in there, and what we do is we set up a bit like a trigger system. If you ever use Zapier, so when customers perform certain actions, so you get a new lead coming in, or a customer pays the first time, or an annual contract rolls over, or a client accepts a proposal, that's when we get a little fire into Bonjoro from your CRM, and we say, look, this is a great time to send a video. And the most common use cases are lead conversion, so new leads coming in, checking in, and just saying, look, this is us, we're human, we're here to help, we're real people behind the brand. If you'd like to chat, let us know. The second use case is around what I call activation. So if you're a technology company or you do something like online courses, often people will come on board and they'll pay and join you, but they won't necessarily activate. We find that sending a video at that stage, if you see a customer hasn't done something, you can say, hey, look, I saw you sign up 3 days ago. I saw you haven't done X, Y, and Z. Can I suggest, if you've got stuck, either let me know, I'm here to help, or click on this link and go into this one little thing and it'll get you going. Because often customers have all the best intentions and they get sidetracked. Third is around reactivation. So this is for things like, a great example here is gyms. You'll have customers who, again, have been with you for a few months and they've just got lapsed and they haven't been in 6 weeks, and you know that if you don't do anything, that customer is going to leave. Great idea to send a little personal message and say, hey, again, take the time, check in, and make sure they're okay, so you can get them back in again. And then finally is around driving advocacy and testimonials. So to quote a different industry here, e-commerce, deliver a product to a client, wait a few days, and then send a message and say, I just want to check that you've received it and that everything is as you expected. I hope you're happy with the product. By the way, reviews mean a lot to us here at the company. If you wouldn't mind taking 2 minutes, there's a link on this video to Trustpilot or to Google Reviews. Can you leave us a review and let us know what you thought about the product? And again, the fact that you're taking time to do that and the primary message is to make sure they're happy with the product means you're going to get a lot more people clicking through and doing a review. The one thing I'll say here is that, yes, it's video, and video is great at getting the comms across. Beneath the scenes, the real thing that's happening here is that you're stopping and you're taking time to acknowledge and obviously welcome or get in contact with a customer. And because video is very hard to fake, people can tell that you're actually doing it. And that is unusual, I think, especially in the world of online sales and interactions, that we know that someone has actually stopped and taken time specifically for me. That deserves our attention. And it's what I would call customer service excellence.
Excellent. I've got to ask, what's the story behind Bonjoro and what put you on this journey? Because you did say you were originally from the UK, you're now in Australia. So I'm kind of curious what put you on this path. Yeah,
so I landed here and started an agency. And just so happens that all the customers we ended up getting were overseas. Australia's a great place to live. It's not a big market. So we were doing something quite specialist. Our customers ended up back in the UK and in New York and in Paris. We would get leads that would come in while we were asleep. Again, the downside of being on the other side of the world. And we would do the whole drip campaign. And I think it was very effective maybe 6-7 years ago. As everyone started doing it more and more, it became less effective. So, we would get people who, we were an agency, so we were trying to get people to book calls and take pictures and take demos. Or if we could go and see them in person when we were over in the country. And that was our call to action, but we weren't getting great results. So we decided to try something different. And I used to take a ferry to work. So I would go on a boat to the office past the Opera House, which is pretty iconic. Yeah. And so as we went past it, I'd gather a list of all the leads in the evening, who they work for. I'd do a bit of research on LinkedIn, see what their job title was, and then I'd do a video for them on my smartphone as I went past the Opera House. This is about 4 years ago. And so I'd be like, hey, John, saw you sign from Ogilvy. I see you've worked on the Coca-Cola, project. We've also worked with Coke in Singapore and Hong Kong. I'm not in London, obviously, because there's the Opera House, but I will be in 6 weeks' time. When I come in and show the team what we do. And so the first piece of comms they would ever get from us as a little tiny agency would be mostly a video of me on a boat. Mm-hmm. And they loved it. And people mostly thought it was hilarious. And they were like, I heard you mentioned Budweiser or Coke, and you said you're in London, absolutely come in and see us. And so, that happened. Great sales hack. We started to grow that business a lot faster. We got about 3 times the response rates and 3 times the meetings. And then, maybe 12 months in, one of those customers at the end of the meeting was like, oh, by the way, that video email thing, can we use that? And we're like, sure. And they started using it. And then one of their customers was like, oh, can we use it too? And then they started using it. And then I think within 12 months, it had outgrown the original business in terms of scale. So it was not intentional.
Yeah, I love that. I've spoke to over 1,200 different tech companies on here, and I always try and find out where it all began and the story behind it. And serendipity seems to play the big part in almost every company. It seems to come out of nowhere, doesn't it? One of these happy accidents.
Well, I think if you solve a need, not a want, and if you have experienced those needs, especially in B2B more than anything, I think we're a business-to-business software. Look, us as a business, we hit a challenge. Things that we tried out that weren't working. So we went looking for a solution, couldn't find one. We made one up. It happened to work. The fact that we'd solved our own need very effectively. I mean, in hindsight, you go, well, of course it would have worked for other people too. We didn't expect it would snowball, and we were able to recognize the opportunity for what it was. I mean, everyone always says, don't run 2 businesses at once. We took that punt and it was a good one. but like, I remember sitting in the pub with my CTO at the time, and I was like, and it started to happen, and I was like, we got to build this thing, and he's like, yeah, I knew you were going to say that, because we were already swamped, and we did it, and it was the right call, but yeah, like again, if you solve a real problem, a need, not a want, that's the way to build an effective business anyway.
And before you came on today, I did do a little bit of research on you. Another thing that really stood out for me was that you ended up growing, I think, a team in 6 countries over 3 years, and it was HQ Australia, and 97% was a non-Australian customer base. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we just came off a call with one of our investors, and he's like, I always tell companies to like grow the home market first, work out your process, and then go overseas. He's like, you guys did the exact opposite, and it worked. And I'm like, but again, like Australia. I mean, it helps that our founding team is international. Like we're Kiwi, we're Australian, we're British, and so we've always had kind of a global mindset. I think as a culture for us, the UK is like here we are. Like say you're in the UK, I'm here. Like is this easy? Like it doesn't really feel like any boundaries. So I think we always approach business that way. We also got taken that direction, and so as the company went overseas from day one, we hired the best people for certain roles, and that rarely had an Australian influence. Like, for supporting customers in the US, we obviously had to be on the right time zones. Supporting customers in the UK, we had to be on the right time zones, which are not Australia time zones. So we ended up with South Africa and the UK and here. And then for growth, we didn't target a country. We just happened to find a couple of guys that were great hires. One's based in London, one's based in the West Coast of the States. We ended up growing the team into the Philippines with development because they're on the same time zone as us here. It's been awesome. Like at illustrators from Poland, because we found an amazing child's book artist, and I was like, we have to have her as our illustrator. Like it's perfect. Like that doesn't matter where someone's from or what language they speak. Like once you go global, you suddenly realize that you can find the best person for the best role, and you've gone from in Australia from 25 million people as an option pool to 7 billion. It's your chance of success a lot higher.
Now, before COVID-19, of course, there was a huge buzz around personalisation at scale in the marketing mix, and it does feel like the world is a slightly different place now. But is that still the case? Are you noticing any changes there?
Like it's that trend hasn't stopped. It's going to continue. I think what it comes down to is trust. I think we had personal back in the day. We would go to your local baker and they'd know what you wanted for the day, etc. We then all went and got in a hurry and got online and chased scale, and everyone was fine with that for a while. And then we've now started to bounce back, I think, for 2 reasons. I think number one, humans are social creatures. So as you've gone online, we're kind of craving interaction with other humans again. Like it's how we're hardwired. Like it's hard to fight, 2 million years of evolution. And then secondly, I think it's become harder to know who to trust. Yeah. Because automation and robo messaging and everything else, like we've basically become like divulged from who are the good actors, who are the bad actors, who are invested with, and given the option of 2 businesses that have the same offering and the same brand and everything else, if one has people you can trust, you're going to pick that one, ultimately. And so I think the personalization thing is just going to grow. I think we want to see who we're working with. We want to be able to trust companies. It's not going to stop COVID. I mean, COVID, the biggest change it's had is that people are now starting to, work remote, and now it's helped drop the barriers. It's helped increase trust because, you look at our customer base, people sending messages, they're now doing it without their kids running around their feet, and other people are like, I know, working at home with kids, like it's impossible, and it helps you connect quickly. And these are corporates, and financial advisors, and it's not like cool tech kids. It's like real. It's industries that used to have a wall between the brand and the customer, and now they're starting to let that wall fall, and they're letting their team stand forward and be themselves, and do videos when they're in the kitchen on a Sunday, which is like once you invite people into your life, the trust is much easier. Like it's much more genuine and authentic. So I think it's weirdly helped.
Yeah.
No,
I completely agree. I think if we go back just 4 months in time across, I would say the vast majority of people out there, or there were a lot of technophobes that avoided video conferencing like the plague, had zero interest in it, felt weird, felt awkward, felt uncomfortable. But now even grandparents you making Zoom calls every day to communicate with their family. And like you just said, it's completely removed that barrier, hasn't it?
Look, and it's a good thing for the world. Like I do think it was going to happen anyway. It's forced our hand, and there's other benefits. I mean, the whole remote work thing. We're now realizing that yes, it's more about productivity. Like we see the global thing. We weren't the first doing it. There's other great companies that have done the global thing from day one, have helped pave the way. But it's post this period, I think it's going to be quite an exciting world, because I think this will help so many things. It'll help culture. It'll help race. It'll help companies build better and faster. And I think it's just going to be a better benefit for so much more than just even business and not operations, for sure.
And another subject that interests me is the use of asynchronous video to create advocates and superfans online. Is that something you've got experience with that you can expand on?
Yeah, so I think this comes down to, and this is one of the things I think a lot of businesses don't do well.
Yeah.
We should be doing well, is focusing on existing customers. So, you'll hear 100 different quotes about numbers, but I think the one that seems to resonate is it's about 7 times cheaper to get $1 or £1 off an existing customer than it is to go and get one off a new customer. And this is absolutely true, 100%. So your customer base, in terms of working on your existing customer base and growing them, and then leveraging them to go and get you more customers. Again, most businesses don't do this that well, because we get a customer and we go, that's great, let's go and get another new one. Like the new shiny thing. Where things like video come into play here is, again, it's not so much the video, it's about still stopping and taking time to, check in with customers who've been with you for 5 years. And, in a world where we can't necessarily grab a coffee with them, just popping your head in and being like, hey, I saw this thing, Dave, I was thinking about you, just wanted to share it. Doing things like that, again, it's this idea of knowing that you're being cared for by a brand is awesome, yeah. And people talk about that, and so back to the point I was saying about the e-commerce, when you check in with a video and say, hey, I just want to check that what you received was everything you expected. It's proactively gathering feedback, which is great. And as a result, people are like, this is a great company. Yeah, I'll go and leave a review, or yes, I'll go and tell people, or yes, I'll go and get them a referral. Like you can literally ask people for referrals. You can say, hey, I saw your mortgage just got approved. That's awesome. This is amazing. Yeah. By the way, if you know anyone else who's looking to get a mortgage right now, we're doing a special deal. Let us know. But people don't mind being asked. If they've had a great experience with you,
yeah,
ask and they shall deliver. If you don't ask, you won't get it. And by the way, if you can get customers through your if you get referrals and advocates to bring in more customers, it's not only cheaper, they are the highest converting customer source by far.
And how easy is it to get your clients up and running with these videos? They don't need, presumably they don't need fancy lighting and high tech skills and everything like that.
Nah, so the stuff that works is the stuff where you're just being yourself. So most of our videos are recorded where people are getting coffees or walking to work. I wouldn't say my team
that way as well, isn't it? Yeah,
most of us in the team, we have faces for radio, but we all do them every day and we get on just fine. And if we can, anyone can.
And I'm curious, if we were to compare your brand, your culture, and all that excitement that you had at the beginning of 2020, a new year, a new decade, and compare that with now, what has changed in your company?
Look, the excitement and the culture is still there. We're still having fun. Look, I think regardless, it's been a tough time for teams. I mean, we're here in Australia. It's actually quite hard to relate, because here we've been affected by this not that much. We did lockdown pretty early. We've got I think we had 105 deaths. So things now here are open. Then we look at team who are on the west coast of the States, where there's obviously been the riots going on. We now see that London's obviously still taking time to come out of lockdown. The Philippines went for full military lockdown, and now they're coming out and they're doing so all these different stresses and strains, and these different approaches to it. I think with all that going on, your team will naturally have stresses going on in the background. You have to accept that like we haven't been as productive as normal. But that's fine. Like, of course not. Yeah. Like it's fine. And even if you're not directly affected, stress is pay on people, people who've been affected. So I think you expect that you have to be very open to it. You have to be very supportive of it. We've encouraged our team as soon as they can to go and get time off, and get headspace. Don't spend the whole day working, it's not about that. Do your hours whenever you want to do them. We don't care. Like time is not a thing for us. So I think you have to be very open to your team. You have to help them. You have to encourage team calls and get people talking and sharing. But otherwise, that aside, we're still open. We're still here. We still enjoy what we do, and we're going to keep going.
And have you noticed an uptake or more inquiries and things? Because I would imagine there's a real thirst for video at the moment, and we're starting to recognise in this digital world that we need more than just faceless emails to stand out and authentically to connect with our audiences. From the conversations that you're having, are more and more people getting that point?
Yeah, so we've had a lot more users come on board through this. And I think I think people are, again, like I said, those who wouldn't jump are now jumping. Yeah. I think the other thing again is it's not just about people going, oh, I need to do video. Being stuck in your home for a month, people are like, ooh, I want to talk to people again. It's not just a video thing. People are missing the interaction. Yeah. And interestingly, again, the companies that are doing that and sending videos to customers, it's having a massive impact now, because on the receiving end, those people have also been in isolation. So they're like, oh, this is great. Like a human. I almost think it's having a bigger impact now than before, because you're hearing from real people less and less and less, because you're not going into work every day.
Yeah. And there is so much doom and gloom, especially on these 24-hour rolling news channels out there. But that's not what this show's about. So what makes you excited and hopeful about the road ahead?
Well, I said, I think the world's going to be a different and better place for this. Look, I'm an optimist. Here in Australia, we had the fires, and now we've had this, and it's okay, look, you know what? It's been a testing year, but the good thing is everyone realizes that there's an environmental problem now, whereas they're that's a thing. Everyone realizes that, pandemics are a thing, so we're going to be much better sorted for them. Everyone is realizing that they miss other people, and that so people are starting to connect better. I've heard so many stories about, families are talking more than ever now. Despite families are seeing each other more now in lockdown than they were before, which is awesome. Yeah. So, there's so much good to come out of this. Again, it's a tough situation, but there are positives. Stay on those, and ultimately, in 5 years' time, we'll all just be building businesses and carrying on as we were before. We've had crises and we've come out stronger. The same thing again.
Excellent. Well, a huge thank you for joining me all the way in Australia today. But before I do let you go, if anyone wants to find out more information about Bonjoro, if they want to check out some of the videos on your site, get to grips with how it all works and how it looks and how it could bring them value, can you just point them in the best direction of doing that, and also how they can contact your team?
Yeah, so hop into bonjoro.com. That's Bonjoro. If you do want to sign up, it's completely free. There's actually a free plan you can use forever. But most importantly, you will receive a video from one of the team when you sign up. So you'll get to experience it firsthand. I can't say who that will be. It's a bit of potluck. If you do want to reach me, I'm more than happy. Please reach out. Most people don't when I say this, but when I was starting my company, I was extremely cheeky and hit up a lot of other founders to get advice. So you can find me on LinkedIn. If you type in Papa Bear, I'm the guy in the bear suit.
I've got to say, where did the Papa Bear thing come from? There's got to be a story there, right?
You know what? I think it was another story over beers. I think we were trying to come up with the brand. We found a picture of a bear waving. We're like, that's cool, and then it just spiraled out of control. Where now the bear is everything. We get new team members order customized bear onesies. We send bear suits to customers' kids. There is going to come a point where we're going to have to be okay, enough. But for now, it's pretty funny.
I think you've left us with a huge teaser there for the follow-up of you. So we'll leave it there. We'll speak to you again later on in the year. But a big thank you for joining me today.
All right, thanks for having me.
Now, I will add a video on the blog post that will accompany this podcast over on my website, techblogwriter.co.uk, so you can see how Bonjoro gives you all the tools that you need to master personal video and build powerful, lasting connections with your customers rather than just another generic email. And when I was doing a bit of research on the company, I came across a quote from, I think it was Jason Resnick at res.com. And he said, if he was to compare email metrics to Bonjoro's solution, he says Bonjoro actually knocks email out the park. And he said he was getting open rates of 70% and click-through rates of around 30%, and that you just cannot get that kind of attention with email. And that quote, combined with my conversation with Matt today, really highlighted how quickly things are changing. And most importantly, for the better. Because personal videos where each message is accompanied by a call to action is a simple but great idea of using technology to personalise and meaningfully connect with an employee, a customer, or anyone that you need to reach. But I'm curious, what did you think of today's conversation? And have you noticed any trends or changes on the digital landscape like that? Because it almost feels like we've collectively been given a wake-up call that the old ideas, the old processes, which were once considered an asset, are now becoming the biggest liability for a business. But that's just me thinking out loud again. So I'll pass the microphone over to you. Email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com. My website is techblogwriter.co.uk. And you can get me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, all the usual places. Just look for me at Neil C. Hughes. So I'm going to go check out Bonjoro now and see if it's anything that I'd be able to use. If you do use it, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, or if you've got any other tools out there that you've discovered. Equally, I want to hear about those too. But it's time for me to go. So a big thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.